Hi everyone, this is Andrew DeStefano coming at you from Putnam County, New York with Putnam County Crime Analysis. And what I'm looking at today is school safety in Putnam County. And are we doing everything to protect our schools and to protect our kids? There's a lot more to school safety than just preparing police officers to go room to room and floor to floor and rappelling down ropes on helicopters. We saw the video from about 2 weeks ago with the Nashville deputies, and they did an incredible job. This is not about a critique of police. This is about the environmental roadblocks that cops encounter when they get to various schools. And it's not just about school shootings, it's about making schools safe in an omnibus fashion, in a very well-rounded fashion. So what I'm coming at you today with is CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. And that's how you improve school safety. Okay. Now, what is CPTED? What is the CPTED? It is crime prevention through environmental design. It centers on the management of the physical design and the use of the built environment. In other words, buildings and things like that, things around you, trees, bushes, buildings, benches, anything like that, to create reductions in the occurrence and fear of crime and an improvement in the quality of life. Instead of examining where incidents are occurring and who is committing them, CPTED pushes the crime analyst to consider the what and the why. In other words, things that you can do to prevent not only school shootings, but to give officers an advantage in the event, in the tragic event that day comes. But it also helps to mitigate things like school bullying, school misconduct, because of the principles that it espouses. What are the what are the ways in which you attack? Basically, that's the word that is used. That you attack the target that you are analyzing. Well, the CPTED principles, three areas in the school. You start from the exterior and you work your way in. So, as the screen shows, you go from the grounds to the buildings to the interiors. Okay. Now, what are the CPTED principles? There are four. You have natural surveillance, which refers to the placement of physical features that improve visibility. You have natural access control, which includes using signs, well-marked entrances and exits, and landscaping to improve or limit access. You have territoriality, which creates a welcoming environment. And number four, you have maintenance, repair and general upkeep of space. Now, I didn't put it on the screen, but there are two types of maintenance. You have physical maintenance and you have order maintenance. And I'll be getting into both those principles as we go along. Now, how does CPTED principles apply to schools? Now, I put the four principles up again, except I get into it just a little bit more. Natural surveillance is basically visibility, all right? People need to be able to see inside schools and within schools, and then the people inside the schools need to be able to see out. If people are being watched, they are much less likely to be engaging in misconduct, in dangerous activity, etc. So natural surveillance is the strategic use of the school entrance so students can see into the school and be assured that others can see them. Very important. Natural access control, using signs, well-marked entrances and exits, and landscaping to improve or limit access. Landscaping that reduces access to unsupervised locations on school grounds. Territoriality, create a welcoming environment. Motivational signs, displays of student artwork to create warmth and pride. And maintenance, the repair and general upkeep of the property. Now, I made the mistake one time of just writing about this very quickly on Facebook. And right away, I got some really, not angry, but very concerned replies. People saw the word, they saw this word here, surveillance. And right away, people are thinking what? Cameras, big brothers. CPTED has nothing whatsoever to do with cameras. Because what's before the word surveillance? Natural surveillance. How do you improve visibility naturally? You're not talking about cameras. If anything, there's probably too many cameras as it is. Cameras are basically meant just to capture what has happened, just like we saw in, in Nashville. Okay, so don't be concerned with don't be concerned with anything like that. All right, so some quotes about CPTED, and I just took out a few. Quote, CPTED is a key tool in securing today's schools. That came from Security Info Watch. Anyone who is involved in crime analysis knows how big Security Info Watch is, one of the biggest companies in the country that deals with crime analysis. From Campus Safety Magazine, quote, CPTED strategies protect students and staff by reducing crime, victimization, fear of crime, misconduct, and bullying. Okay? From the U.S. Department of Justice, CPTED makes schools a safer place for everyone. Who can argue with that? And that's from the Department of Justice. Again, from the DOJ. CPTED should be used by school resource officers, hint, to improve school grounds and prevent crime through physical changes. The National Association of School Resource Officers offers a 3-day advanced training in CPTED at the FBI Academy. That should be taken to heart, okay? Now, without further ado, just a historic point. You know, I tend to be an encyclopedia of useless information. You see where they have the name here, Matthew Patterson, right? If you notice, the T is spelt with, the name is spelt with one T. That name is not spelt wrong. That's the initial spelling of the town of Patterson with one T. And what was happening, I guess about 70 years ago or so, maybe probably more, a lot of U.S. mail was winding up in Patterson, New Jersey with that same spelling. So someone decided to change the name to Patterson to add two T's, but the original name is with one T, which is why it's Matthew Patterson with one T Elementary School. Just a point of interest, nothing more. Okay, now here we're going to get started. All right, before I get started, I do really want to thank the school superintendent for having the faith in me to know that I was going to do the right thing. As I reached out to her, I did not expect to be afforded the opportunity to do a site assessment at one of the schools. You know, I did this for school. I study in the City University of New York in the PhD program, and I had to pick a location to do a site assessment. I could have chosen any place. I could have chosen a bowling alley. I could have chosen a hospital. I could have chosen a park, you know, and that would have made it very easy. I didn't want to make it easy. I wanted to make it difficult. I wanted to make it count. And where does it count most? In a school. And I knew the schools had never heard of CPTED. Not only did she afford me the use of Matthew Patterson in off hours starting at 4 p.m., she also threw me the one of the assistant superintendent of schools, Mr. Fink. And I got to tell you something. This guy, they picked the right guy for that job. He, in addition to all his other assignments as an assistant superintendent of school, I can imagine they wear many hats. One of the many hats that he wears is being in charge of the school safety plan for the Carmel Central School District. And I got to tell you, this guy, he is on the money. He takes that job very seriously. We spoke for like over an hour. Just after I was done with the site assessment I'm talking about. We spoke about school security for about an hour. And he does realize the deficiencies. He understands where they have to go. A lot of this is not something that can happen overnight, but he does understand where the school needs to improve on. So, without further ado, this is the first photo, and this is what you're looking at as you approach the campus of Matthew Patterson Elementary School. All right. Now, we already see a lot of CPTED deficiencies. All right. Let's start with what's called traffic calming. All right. What is traffic calming? Calming down traffic, basically. All right. What is traffic calming? It's a combination of physical measures that reduces negative effects of motor vehicle use. As we know, and we have seen on various videos, a vehicle can easily be used as a deadly weapon, right? Intentionally and unintentionally. We've seen that in Manhattan, on the west side of Manhattan with a truck. you know. So as you're approaching the campus of Matthew Patterson Elementary School, there are numerous deficiencies in traffic calming. Number one, there's no stop sign here. Number two, there's no crosswalk. Number three, there's no speed hump. I know a lot of times we like to call it a speed bump. In traffic terminology and in CPTED, it's called a speed hump because there's several different types of them. Speed hump would be put right about here to slow traffic down. Number four, you don't see a choker. The choker should be right here. It would be a piece of land that juts out into the street. And what that does is, as cars make their turn here, they would have to slow down to make it through the narrow passage and then come out. Now, I understand that there's the buses have to come around also. So, but there is plenty of room for a choker, even if it's a small choker. They have to do something to slow the traffic down because nothing prevents fast traffic here. Okay, and a big one here is there is no celebrated entryway. In other words, if the average person is looking down this street, you can't tell to any degree of certainty where the entry to the school is, right? Is it here? 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 Like you can't see where is the entry. You should be able to see it from down the block. It needs to be in, bold print over here. People see it. There's nothing guiding people towards that door. And that tends to be a problem. Okay. Now this is the parking lot. As you can see, it's not even nighttime yet, and it's very dark. There needs to be more lights over here, and there needs to be there's a fence here. You can't even see it because it's so dark, but there needs to be a fence. The fence is behind these arborvitaes. These arborvitaes are far too big. They create what's called an ambush point. In other words, they allow somebody to stand behind it and hide. And so if somebody parks their car here, say there's an evening event, somebody could just stand behind an arborvitae and just jump out. Very dangerous, all right? There is a fence. It's behind the arborvitaes. That fence needs to be in front of the arborvitaes, and it needs to be 6 foot, and it needs to be anti-climb, all right? So that needs to, that wouldn't cost a lot of money, but that's what needs to happen on that one, okay? Now, this is a violation of the physical maintenance. Look at this sign. I came right up on it. I'm standing right in front of the sign, and you can hardly read the sign. No parking. This goes under the physical maintenance of the building, because if you allow one sign to go bad, it's like broken windows. You allow one sign, then other signs go, and then pretty soon you can't read any of the signs. It's not good. All right. This goes towards natural surveillance. This here is a major problem. This is what's called an ambush point. Anyone can hide behind this thing and then come out at you, and you can have a serious problem. There's 2 ambush points here. In addition, you have all these pieces of wood here with nails on the end. These things can be used as a weapon. This could be used as a weapon. It's very serious. So this needs to be thrown out either inside the dumpster. I don't know why it's not. Maybe you're not allowed to. I don't know. But it needs to be gotten rid of. And these dumpsters need to be pushed inside this enclosure. That's why you have the enclosure in the first place. Okay. This is another one. They usually have these for in the play area, and this is no different. There's another ambush point. This one is filled with sports equipment for the park, which is on this side of the picture. You can't see it, but basically, it saves the school monitor from having to go inside and get the sports equipment. You know what? The monitor has to go inside and get the sports equipment. You can't leave something like this out because you're giving a place for someone to hide. You can't do that. There's already some trees and stuff. Nothing you can do about that. But this here, there is something you can do about that. Okay. Now we're getting to the front of the building here. as we said, you go from exterior to the buildings to the interior. So we're on the buildings here. This glass here that you see, these are classrooms. This glass doesn't comport with natural surveillance and access management. There's reflection on the glass, okay? There's not supposed to be reflection on the glass. You're supposed to be able to see inside, and the kids inside are supposed to be able to see outside. They need to know that people can see them and they feel safe. There's supposed to be landscaping here because the windows are so accessible to anybody who stands here. They could just lower this, push their way in. They can rip the air conditioner out and climb in. If you're going to have the windows here, and that's fine, but you need to have what's called hostile vegetation. Put it here. Hostile vegetation. No higher than 2 feet, because it's a 2-foot, 6-foot rule. No higher than 2 feet. But hostile vegetation would be more like thorny bushes. Somebody goes to step in it and they're going to get all pricked. So it's almost like standing in barbed wire. Okay. This here, if you look at it, it gives the assailant easy access to the classrooms. So if you install the hostile vegetation, you're going to make it a lot harder. And that's the purpose of CPTED, just making things harder, making things safer, making things more difficult for the assailant. This here, very good. Okay, this fencing is good, but it's insufficient. This fencing should be 6 feet, not 3 feet, and it needs to be anti-climb fencing. This is not anti-climb. This right here, this is very nice. This goes towards territoriality. It was probably made by students. It shows pride in the school. It shows who owns it, who are we. I believe the Matthew Patterson team is something of a bear or something like that. I should know. My daughter went there 5 years. But it's a footprint of an animal. It shows school pride and everything else, and you see more of that over here. Again, very good territoriality, but the fence does need to be fencing does need to be replaced. This here is the biggest problem in any school, most schools in the entire country. And what is it? It's the year the school was built. A lot of our schools are built very late, a long time ago. And they were built before the days of CPTED and before the days, unfortunately, of school shootings and school violence. So what does that mean? We're going to knock down the schools and rebuild them? No, of course not. But it does mean that we have to make as many adjustments as we can. This will help the police once they arrive on the scene. Okay, so 1971, that was kind of a long time ago. All right. This here is the entrance to the school. All right. This goes against the principle of natural surveillance. See the picture here? That's a picture of me. And what am I doing? I'm taking a picture. Don't I look good? That's the assistant superintendent. Doing good. The problem is you're not supposed to see me. This is supposed to be non-reflective glass. Non-reflective, and I'm sure it's non-breakable, but it's not non-reflective. All right. It's reflecting my image. You can't see in. If there could be something very violent going on in here, right here, and you won't be able to see a thing. And neither will responding officers. They're coming in. They're standing right here. All they're looking at is themselves. They have no idea what they're looking at. They have no idea what's on the other side of that glass. You're not supposed to see me taking pictures, as I said. Also, there's no ballards in front. What are ballards? You know, you see them in Manhattan all the time. They're popularly and colloquially known as planters. We don't have to put giant planters in front, but a couple of ballards would be nice, just to prevent from a vehicle attack. Okay. So what do we have here? This goes against access management. First of all, this is a very big street. This is a double crosswalk, right? And you can see it. It's a double street. All right. Kind of dangerous because on this side here, if you keep going this way, there are 2 parking lots. So people looking to cross, this is kind of dangerous, right? The crosswalk is far too long to stretch across an active street like this. It's well marked. It is well marked and it's well maintained. It's well painted and you can see it. It's highly visible. That's good. But better yet, you should install what's called a neighborhood crosswalk. In other words, it would be the same size, same texture, except allow the kids to come out and allow them to draw murals, like really, supervised, nothing, not like graffiti or just chalk. I'm talking about nice murals all along this same size crosswalk, and that would really show. That would really reflect for drivers coming through. They see something like that, and they're just going to naturally slow down, even though there's nothing forcing them to slow down. When they see that, they're going to automatically think of kids, and they're going to slow it down. Alternatively, you can construct a pedestrian refuge island right in the middle, because you got cars here that are coming this way, and people are crossing. It would give pedestrians a chance to just stand in the middle and be safe instead of having to run this entire distance. This here is a picture of the school, the parking lot. This here, a couple of problems. I'm going to show this later, but the purpose of this one is the lights. Lights are really good, right? They're too good. They're too bright. They're not the right type of lights. You go by the IES standard, the Illuminating Engineering Society standard, and these lights are producing a lot of glare. They're too bright. It should not have this amount of glare. It hurts the eyes, actually. Usually the amount of IES is 5, okay, for parking lots. So this would have to be measured by a machine, and you reduce it to 5. This is a problem. There is zero natural surveillance here, okay? Zero. This is the gym. This isn't some like storage shed. This is the gym. If you're inside, you can't see outside. If you're outside, you're a police officer, you hear there's, something going on in the gym, right? There's a very dangerous situation going on in the gym. You can't see a thing. You can't see anything. There's no natural surveillance. You need to be able to put some windows here with non-breakable glass. Also, these doors are no good. Solid doors. You can't see out. You need to be able to make these into non-breakable glass. These doors here. And what that means is that when somebody's coming out, someone comes out, say a kid wants to come out, he doesn't know somebody here is waiting for him or her, looking to do harm. Can't see anything. And not to mention the fact, what do we have here? Weapons at the ready. I mean, that goes without saying. Got to get rid of that stuff. But this one's big. This one shows you need to have windows here. You need to have natural surveillance, and you don't have it. And this was the picture I was showing you before about the lights, except I'm going to talk about something different now. These arborvitaes are way too big. There's a CPTED rule, the 2-foot, 6-foot rule. Basically, vegetation should not be any higher than 2 feet, and if it's a tree, the plateau should not come down any lower than 6 feet. Why? Visibility, natural surveillance. All right. These arborvitaes are way too big. There's ambush points here. Somebody could be hiding behind there. If I would have had somebody helping me with this, I would have taken pictures of me, because that's what my professor did when he was putting his learning materials together. He would take pictures of like this, and then he would take pictures, and then it would show that he was hiding behind the arborvitae the entire time, and you couldn't see him. Well, if you can't see him, neither can the children. That's important. Again, this is the front of the gym. No natural surveillance. These doors, there's a little bit here, but someone can hide right here. You got a blind spot right here. So these doors need to be non-breakable glass. This here, same thing, non-breakable glass. You would have incredible natural surveillance. You'd be able to see out the entire thing. Nobody would be able to hide. This here is I gave it before, the same picture from down here looking this way. Now I waited until it was dark and I came back to the school, took pictures going this way. Again, the lights are a little too much glare. You should be able to see with the lights that they produce, they should be able to see someone's face from 30 feet away. That's the standard. That's the IES standard. Okay, I didn't make it up. These benches, they should have a split in the middle, like a barrier, so that nobody can go to sleep. There should be more bike racks encouraging bicycle riding. That would be nice. But like I said, the lights too bright here, and then not enough brightness here. You couldn't be able to see someone's face from 30 feet away. Kind of hard to tell in the picture, but as I did it, I was right there. I saw the whole thing. That's another picture of the fence. This is the side of the gym again. Zero natural surveillance. Okay, responding officers and school administration, they have no idea what's going on inside that gym. The kids can't see out. You can't see in. No visibility whatsoever. Again, remember, these schools were built in 1971. It was built with not this stuff in mind. Now, remember something in the state of Florida. This is interesting now. In the state of Florida, if you're a builder or a contractor, you want to get the contract to build a new school or a new hospital or whatever, you're not getting the contract unless someone on your team, on the construction team, is CPTED certified. Florida is always ahead of us in everything. Well, they're ahead of us in CPTED too. That's how big this stuff is. That's how big this stuff is. The state of Florida, you cannot get the contract to build a school unless you're going to do it by CPTED standards and someone on your team is CPTED qualified. That's great. This is the inside of the gym. There's no natural surveillance looking out, none. You can't see outside. These doors, they should be non-breakable glass. You can't see anything looking through here. You don't know what's on the other side of that door. There could be evil lurking on the other side of the door. You can't see anything at all. Okay, this is the entrance to the building. I was happy to see that when my daughter went there, K through 4, in 2000, I think 7 or 8, 9, 10, this here wasn't there. See, the entrance is here. Then you come into this little foyer. Then you have this window here. And that window was not there a few years ago. And it's new, which goes to show you what you can do using CPTED principles. This promotes natural surveillance and access management, and it gives the people in the office, because this is attached to the office, it gives them a chance to see who's coming in the school. It gives them an eyes on. Very important. A lot of natural surveillance here. As far as the door, this door should be see-through. It should be non-breakable glass. The mosaic, very, very beautiful. And I know what it's signifying. It's signifying that all the children are mosaic, all different ethnicities and genders and races and everything, but we're all together in one mosaic. I understand what it's signifying, but you got to put that someplace else. Put it on the wall. This you need to be able to see in. Same thing. These signs, they're blocking they're blocking some surveillance, some visibility. You can put those signs right over here, and it wouldn't change anything. Again, these doors, the visibility does look pretty good. I remember when I was standing there, and I could see out, which is very positive. Okay, this here is a major problem, and the officers in Nashville, they encountered the same problem twice that I could see on the video. They came in, and what happened? They came to a 90-degree turn. If this school was built according to CPTED standards, there are no 90-degree turns. You come to this hallway here, and then officers and school administration and children cannot see around this corner. They have absolutely no idea what's going on around this corner. So what you need to do is install a vortex mirror up in this area here, right? This is a camera, that's fine. But there needs to be a vortex mirror. This way, when officers and school administration and children come and they're looking, they need to be able to look up into that mirror, into the vortex mirror, and they can see down that hall. All right, so installing that mirror would not cost much at all. Same thing with this hallway here. Look at this. Officers are looking down the hall. They don't know what's over here. This hallway just makes a sudden 135-degree turn, and or a 35-degree turn, and you're out. You're out of visibility. You're out of line of sight. This is a violation of natural surveillance. So same thing. You need to be able to put up a couple of vortex mirrors over here so that officers and school administration can see at that mirror and look down that hall without having to run up there and look down the hall. This is great. This here is excellent. This is called territoriality. Okay, this creates a welcoming environment. You can't tell from the picture, but this is as soon as you come into the school. As soon as you come into the school, and I believe it's on the right. I think it's on the right. It's been a while since I did this, and I used to go to the school almost every day for my daughter. But this is excellent territoriality. It creates a welcoming environment. It's at the entrance to the school. It shows anyone visiting that people care about the school. This was done by kids. Okay, this was done by a certain class over 20-something years ago, and yet look how well it's maintained. All right. It promotes order maintenance as well because it reduces negative behavior. People come by this thing and they respect it. Same thing. It's right opposite the police first responder mural. You have all these different artifacts from Putnam County and the town of Paterson. You have the Matthew Paterson House, which is right down the block from the school. You have Sybil Ludington here. You have the seal of the town of Paterson. You have some buildings from Paterson. You have the Great Swamp over here. Very nice. This is very good. This is the boys' bathroom, all right? And the girls' bathroom is the same. There's no natural surveillance at all, okay? You ever go to the airport, and this is an excellent example. You go to the airport, and how are the bathrooms laid out? The bathrooms are laid out with 90-degree entrance. In other words, there's no doors. You go to the right, and it's open, and then you come out on the left side. Complete surveillance. Now, you can't see inside, but there's more than one type of surveillance. There's not just visibility surveillance. You have auditory surveillance, which is the ability to hear, and you have sensory surveillance, the ability to pick things up by smell. Now, in a school, that would be you could detect kids smoking drugs. You'd be able to pick that up if you have that type of entrance. Here, you don't. You just have one door, which in order to be able to prevent violence and prevent acts of misconduct, you have to leave the door open. So, and that's not something that you want. A lot of bullying takes place in the bathroom, and if you had a 90-degree turn bathroom, like you see in the airports, a school monitor or administrator would be able to hear inside that bathroom. Again, auditory surveillance, they'd be able to hear that bullying and stop it long before it escalates. I don't recommend any construction on any buildings or any movement of walls or anything. But if there was money for one project and one project only, it would be to open up the bathroom, even if you had to take some space away from something else. Just create a 90-degree turn on at least a couple of the bathrooms, because it really is that important. There's a reason why those bathrooms at Kennedy Airport are built the way they are. This is self-explanatory. That came back at night, and this is what I found. Okay, I'll say it again. The fence should be 6 feet, and it should be anti-climb fence. This here should be secured with a special type of lock. It was open. It was like 10 o'clock at night when it came by. It's not so much that it was left open. That's not the problem. The problem is someone had the ability to leave it open. No one should have the ability to leave it open. It wasn't broken. They just closed it with this hatch. That's unset. You can't have that. You need to be able to close this thing easily and lock it. Okay, conclusions. When we all watched that horrific video in Nashville from 2 weeks ago, which is really why I'm doing this video. When you watch that video, and it was only 6 minutes long, the police, the deputies in that video, they encountered several CPTED violations. You remember on at least 2 occasions that I saw, they encountered solid metal doors inside that building, and on one of them, one of the officers said, "We don't know what's on the other side of this door." Right? If that door had been clear, then at least they'd be able to see. There'd be natural surveillance. They weren't able to see. Again, another deficiency with natural surveillance was when the officers came down 2 hallways. It happened twice. It happened downstairs and it happened upstairs. They came down the hallway twice, and then what did they come to? They came to a brick wall, a 90-degree turn, and they had to either go left or go right. They could not see what was around those corners. The school should not have been built like that. I did not see if they had vortex mirrors. I don't think they did, because they had some trepidation approaching that 90-degree turn, which tells me they could not see around the 90-degree turn. But either way, that should have been those vortex mirrors should have been in place. And then finally, where the shooter was, when they came up upon the shooter, that shooter was hiding behind what? Was hiding behind furniture that was in the middle of a roundabout hallway, like right at the end of the hall, at the end of the building. It was like a roundabout kind of turn, like a big area in a hallway, and there was furniture right in the middle of that circle. That furniture served as nothing less than an ambush point, and she was using that for cover and concealment, which in a way kind of led to the shooting, because they could not have a good eyesight on her until they got right upon her, and then she didn't take her hand off the weapon, but you could not, and you saw it. It was plain as day in video. You couldn't see her until they got right up on her. And that was because the furniture was there. It served as an ambush point. There was no natural surveillance. So if you want to sit, they should have. You can have the furniture there for sitting, no problem. But put it along the walls so that you can't set up any ambush points. Other than that, this has been my video of CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. I hope the one thing that people take away from this is not surveillance. This is not about putting cameras. Cameras have nothing to do with CPTED. I remember when they had the shooting in Parkland, Florida in 2019 at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. That was a big one. And that was the one where the deputy apparently was hiding behind a pillar, or stayed behind a pillar for like 45 minutes. And he was the SRO, I think, and he never went into the building. And meanwhile, their sheriff was on TV blasting the NRA, knowing that his police officers had fallen down on the job. And it wasn't until a couple of days later that they called him out on it. Well, the district, I think the governor, ordered a commission to be formed, and the commission had about 15 or 20 people on it. And it was an excellent commission. It was run by a sheriff, but they had experts in academia, experts in engineering. They had psychologists. They had a lot of really solid citizens. And I wanted to watch that hearing because I wanted to see what that sheriff was going to say. And true to form, they're asking him his operational analysis on the shooting. And he's talking about the National Rifle Association. That's not a sheriff. That's not a law enforcement officer. Law enforcement commander does not point fingers ever. It's you got to take responsibility for that, and he didn't, which is why he was fired. But anyway, I'm watching the video of the hearing, and then I was about to turn it off because I already saw what I wanted. I saw the sheriff, and then lo and behold, who would I see? I see my professor. I could not believe it, and I was so proud. They flew my professor from New York City down to Parkland, Florida, to testify about one thing and one thing only: CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. He spoke for 35 minutes. When he was done, the district superintendent asked one question and one question only. He didn't ask him about storming the building. He didn't ask him about how to clear rooms. He didn't ask him about rappelling ropes down helicopters, down from helicopters onto rooftops. He didn't ask him any of that good stuff. He asked him one question: can you come to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School and do a site assessment at our high school? And of course he said, yeah, of course I'd be happy to come. But that's what he asked. That's how important this stuff is. CPTED is extremely important as it comes to school safety. There should be a site assessment at every single school building. I looked it up actually to see who else in Putnam County is, because I finished my class 4 months ago, and I got my certification in December. So I was looking to see who else was certified in CPTED and in Putnam County. And from what I saw, yours truly, I'm the only one who's certified in CPTED. Very proud of that. That was probably in the last 8 years of all my studies at the PhD level at the City University. That was probably the toughest course I took, because every time I did a project, they kept kicking it back and kicking it back and kicking it back, because they wanted improvement over improvement over improvement, and it was hard, but it was well worth it. Look how much I learned. So anyway, this has been Andrew DeStefano with Putnam County Crime Analysis. Thank you so much. I hope I did, I hope I contributed my part, and I hope Putnam County does their part to do CPTED site assessments at all their schools, because just having the deputies practice at the schools, that's very important, as we saw in Nashville, how important it is. But you're not going to develop muscle memory and memorize where every school is, and at some point you have to try to mitigate the danger in the first place, because if you're trying to if you're trying to have deputies create muscle memory where they can, you're claiming they're memorizing where all the rooms are, and that's impossible. Because in Putnam County, how many school districts do we have? About 5 or 6. How many buildings are in each school district? When I asked the assistant superintendent, he said, I think about maybe 9 or 10, total. So what are you going to do? You're gonna have muscle memory in 55 different buildings? That's impossible. It's better to just, when you're going to train, you just have to know what 4 deputies are going to do when they go in, and to know that they're going to make an immediate entry. Waiting for an emergency response team, that's long in the past. Things like this, like CPTED, mitigates danger, and that's what should be going on now. So in any event, this has been Andrew DeStefano. Thank you so much for tuning in.